Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. Three good generals are here. Unfortunately, Major General Rajiv Narayanan couldn't make it today. He'll be back next week. Let's welcome General Ravi Shankar and General Dushyant Singh. Namaskar, gentlemen. How are you?
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar, and we are great.
General Shankar, we've been talking about this. This is nebulous or clear, we don't know. There is talk now of G2. I think it was China that mooted it a few years ago. Nobody took it seriously, but now it is beginning to have some interesting stuff. Your first thoughts on, is that even possible, a grouping like that?
Okay. Thanks a lot at the outset. Good evening to everyone. This live podcast is going to not only P Gurus but also to Ganashot and Strategic Frontlines of Clause. So I'd request everyone who have joined in to like this video and also subscribe to all three channels, because all three channels are high class of different VNets, right, or BigNets, whichever way you want to spell it. So it's different champagne from different flavors. So don't miss out. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now G2. Look, G2 in the way everyone thinks is not there. I'm putting the cart before the horse. But a certain amount of accommodation with each other is on the cards. Okay. So, like someone has put in the comments, so this is General Shankar's idea that it must be his idea that all that. Yeah, it is my idea because I see it happening. You have to understand this story. Okay, so you will not understand the story if you don't know why G2 was ever thought of. What is the logic of what G2 is? Let me put that in picture. If you get that in idea and then you come to the present, what's happening now, then you'll get an idea as to what this G2 is all about. When did this idea of G2 start? It started with a global financial crisis. Okay, what happened then? What happened? Global financial crisis. Yeah, what happened? The thing which happened was that America went topsy-turvy. At that point of time, it was China which was stable. China had to invest buy a lot of treasury bonds, etc., 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 to ensure that the complete global financial system doesn't go for a toss. In fact, the Americans went to the Chinese and virtually said, "Look, please help us out," because no one else could help them out at that point of time. And if America was not helped, the whole globe would have gone for a toss. As it is, there was enough problems at that point of time. Right? So, after that, plus of course, 2008, something else happened. The Beijing Olympics. The Beijing Olympics demonstrated to the world that, look, China can do big things, big events. It was sort of a coming out party for a debutant. Everyone said, "Oh, China has arrived." These two factors and the run of their GDP, everyone felt in 2008, 2010 that the fact that China will overtake the US economy is a matter of if, and it's not a matter of if it will take over, it's a matter of when it will take over. Everyone said in 2008, in about 10 years' time, you will find that the Chinese economy is equivalent to the US economy, and this is the logical thing. So it was that time that it was proposed, virtually informally proposed or formally proposed to Hu Jintao that let's have a G2 kind of a system. But surprisingly, and of course, there was this hope that with all this growth, everything, that China will change course, it will become democratic, it will become maybe a semi-autocratic democratic society, more akin to the American way of doing things or the global way of doing things, whatever you call it, and it could be managed. Hu Jintao demurred. He felt at that time two things. One, he felt that China was not yet ready to take on that global responsibility. In fact, he said China cannot take on that global responsibility. 2008. And then, heart of hearts, they by 2008, the elders in China started getting jitters about the way they were growing because the party was losing control. Mind you, of all the presidents of China or the general secretaries or the bosses of China who call what you and from Deng to Deng had a different flavor to Zhang Zemin, Hu Jintao, and Xi Jinping. I've always rated Hu Jintao as the most clear-headed guy. He is the one who's made what China it is today in terms of military, in terms of undercutting, putting those islands in South China Sea and all that. He's the sharpest of the guy. Now, also, if you see, he's shaking Xi Jinping up, despite being kicked out of that last Congress. He's taken his
Frog
time.
marched out.
Yeah,
Frog marched out.
yeah, people, that's what they say, right? But he's shaking Xi Jinping up. He's back despite his age, and he knew that China was getting into problems. So I said, we can't take it on because what's happened today to USA, if it happens to us, who will help us out? So we'll save the system because if the system goes down, we also go down. And that's when the people used to say China and USA are joined, all that, yeah, all that. Okay. Then came Xi Jinping. Now, Xi Jinping was the Marxist mold. He went back the Leninist Marxist way, communism and all, because it was the internal requirement of China at that point of time. Because otherwise, the Chinese Communist Party was on the verge of losing the whole story. Period. Okay. They wouldn't have become, the Communist Party was in a bad shape. So he tightened the Communist Party, took China back to the Marxist mold, and steered them back. Soon he came out with his thoughts, 2012-13. What are his thoughts? He started talking of revenge over the century of humiliation. He started talking of the China dream, rejuvenation, annexation. The claims started coming out. And his idea was not G2, his idea was G1. China. China will be the greatest power on earth, Sino-centric world order. We will have the greatest military. He went on those. By 2020, if you see 1920, he was at the top. China was that peak. And that's why they were doing Gulf warrior diplomacy, took over South China Sea islands, ate up Hong Kong. 30 years before it was supposed to go formally under the CCP, threatened Taiwan, came into India, put out a new map. This is the period, 2020-22. He was looking at displacing America. And then, of course, COVID came. Initial 2 years of COVID, it was saying that, China has beaten COVID. And China has science, vaccines, they were all gung-ho. Demasked China. Right? They had vaccines for themselves or whatever. Whereas all of us were struggling. And at that time, if you see the commentaries, you see the writings, everyone felt China had arrived. China had risen and USA was declining. Same Trump by tha us waqt bhi. Then post COVID, the economic disparities started coming in. Suddenly, China started, the underbelly of China came up. It started getting hit post-COVID. The consumption went down, this, that, everything. I mean, it is where it is. Two competing economies, suddenly you found the US GDP went up to 30 plus trillion and these chaps shifted to 15 to 19 in 1 year without any bias, without any basis, without any logic. Suddenly one fine day, we were all looking at China having $15 trillion economy. One fine day, they said they had 19 trillion. Well, that's whatever it is. It was. So this ding dong went on. In this process, from 2019 to say 2024, you find that the China threat has increased in the US perception. Of course, you had the increase in military missiles, aircraft killers, killer missiles, all that. All those came in. Satellites, science, technology, high productivity, all that. So you see this thing, and US itself had started getting into its problems. So you see China going in a direction, you see US going in a direction, but strangely, both of them accumulated economic liabilities. US has a huge economic liability of debt, upward of $30 trillion. China's is hidden, no one knows. Because China doesn't have independent banks, they are part of the government. So it's taking money from one end to put it in the other end. And it is a circulatory system where ultimately the people foot the bill. And then the economic decline started, the demography started collapsing, and it's collapsing. So both of them, from their pinnacle, in some form or the other, at a danger of collapse. Whether they will collapse or not is a different story. Now, USA very clearly needs jobs at the bottom of the pile. If it doesn't have jobs, it's going to have unrest. And Trump and his MAGA have come on that ticket. They have not come because the Magnificent Seven stocks have zoomed up 200%. So if he has to get jobs, he needs FDI and factories. I mean, there is a lot of logic in that. What does China want? It needs markets. If it doesn't have markets, it's done. And they're cash rich. They have cash. They don't know where to invest. They can generate cash through bonds. The state is rich, the people are poor. That's a different story. So if tomorrow, both of them, Trump and Xi Jinping, get together and say, okay, your problem and my problem, let's match it. And it matches. If China decides, I will put some money as FDI and open your markets, and he says, okay, economic necessity gets them into a deal, and Trump has been talking of it. If the economic thing gets into a equilibrium, then they'll say, why? What's the problem between us? If you have to maintain your economics, you might as well say, okay, you take care of Asia, I'll take care of the rest of the world. In fact, this might be part of the deal. China might now say so. Now you also have to factor in that the Chinese have started talking of global governance initiative recently. Sinocentric world order to global governance initiative. And in this intervening period, they come out with their other initiatives, GSI, GDI, BRI, all these initiatives. So the Chinese have their own ambitions. Their ultimate ambition is to become number one and displace USA. But is it feasible? Right? Both have a necessity for each other. So it's possible that, they might get together. Also remember that ace midwife between the two, Pakistan. Pakistan is sitting in both laps now. Is Asim Munir playing the role of Kissinger between USA and China? He's going ding donging up and down. So there is a way, right? Okay. At the same time, their interests are different, right? Their interests are different. And then the common problem for both of them, or the common friend for both of them, everything is Russia. What do you do with Russia? Russia is an issue. So USA might say, okay, I'll patch up with China like I did before and put Russia on the rack. One of the things might be China might say, okay, you want economic resurgence, right? Give me Asia and you take care of the rest of the world. USA might say, okay, forget about Russia, then we'll talk. So there is a way of mutual convenience, mutual necessity. Whether this will happen or not is different. Of course, then there are the other actors in the play. What do both do with Russia? What do they do with Iran? What do they do with India? What do they do with North Korea? All these are there. We are not saying that this is not there. But if there could be a deal, and the contours of the deal are strangely, it will be an unstable deal. It's not an evolutionary deal, largely a revolutionary deal. And any revolutionary deal is unstable and is prone to breakdown and a bigger problem. But the problem for India is something. And we'll talk of that a little later. Right? What are the issues? All that. So I think I've spoken quite a bit as a background. Back to you, Sri Ayerji. We'll talk of India and things later.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. General Dushyant, you're a keen US watcher, and I'm also trying to wrap my head around what is going on. Viewers, I have talked a little bit about why are the Mag 7 stocks like on a league of their own? What is really going on? And I have given some hypotheses. You may or may not have seen the monologue, but a lot of things are uncertain about Europe, and that's why people are saying the money is going to a safety haven, which is United States at this point of time. So be that as it may, Trump yesterday, China, General Dushyant, yesterday China said it would be happy to invest in United States, just like Japan's 500 billion or South Korea 350 billion. China says it will be happy to invest in the United States. This is like few hours old. So keeping that perspective and what General Ravi Shankar said, so there is something cooking, that much I can tell. And your thoughts on this, because 37.5 trillion now, and debt ceiling is again, that artificial number is again, holding up the entire government. God only knows when US decides to not do this. Over to you, sir. You're muted, sir.
Muted.
You're muted, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ayerji.
Yeah.
I think, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
See, hypothetically speaking, G2 conceptually is an excellent, proposition if you look at it purely from a non-geopolitical perspective, purely going by a management of the world affairs. But what happened in 2009, Jan Shankar has narrated that. In my opinion, having seen so many things happening around, joint leaderships never work. Co-leaderships never work. And that is why when two people come together, eventually there is a fight for supremacy, and then you land up in a bipolar world. Now, if you're going to land ultimately in a bipolar world, and China is known to be little shrewd, I think whatever investments, etc., the point which you gave, are tactical moves to gain maximum economic mileage. That you can relate it to that. Essentially, it's about gaining strength. So everybody is playing a tactical move today. All the international actors, whether it is EU, whether it is Japan, whether it is India, whether it is West Asia, everybody is looking at this flux to make the maximum out of it. So in my view, co-leaderships never function well. They'll be always kit-pit. Okay. Now imagine in Trump 1.0, what happened? US started withdrawing from various global world forums, and moment it was withdrawing, and who was stepping in?
China.
It was China. That urge to be the most powerful, what Jan Shankar also mentioned, that the urge to be the global leader and not being a co-leader is something, first point which I want to make. The second point related to specific investments, movements, etc., to my mind, they are tactical in nature, made to gain advantage, gain strength, gain the heft required for you to emerge as initially as equal partner with America. I won't say China is equal at the current moment. China is still got a lot to catch up if it has to equal America. So therefore, it is that process where they want to become as strong as the Americans, and then decide what kind of a world order is required. The third factor. Now, what about the rest of the nations? What about Japan? What about South Korea? What about EU? What about India? This talk, incidentally, today's seminar, we had a great discussion on G2. Great discussion. And there were a lot of people who were saying pro G2, but there were few who were basically where you are. They were also here in that seminar, was saying at no cost there will be a G2. Right. And both had their logic, ideological differences, mistrust, mutual mistrust with each other, so on and so forth, but more in the psychological domain, more in the ideological domain, more in the fact that co-leaderships don't work. That was the next issue which I wanted to. So the blocks of other nations, global south, where will they pitch in? Will they accept a domination by two ringmasters trying to guide them? I think there'll be a churning which will take place. There'll be multilateral forums, may not be with US, may not, but maybe with China. For example, today, I don't know whether you all are aware, a fantastic move has been done, possibly by India, and this is something related to oil from Russia. India, I believe, is now paying to Russia for a free flow of oil in yuan, overcoming the sanctions, overcoming the tariffs. There is something cooking in that area. So, what I'm trying to say is that these are all measures where G2 might just fail. And the China has become the conduit between Russia and India. So, the swing is taking place in the reverse order. The dollar is being, I'm not saying dollar will be out of the window, no, definitely not, but people want to find problems, a solution to their problems, and solution to India's problem is oil. As if we have to get oil from Russia, so be it, we'll find a way out and get the oil going. This is something which I think we need to look at it very deeply. So therefore, in my opinion, there are other factors also which to me look as though, G2 is being thrown as a red herring. To me it looks like G2 is being thrown as a red herring. There was one of the ambassadors, or the Indian ambassador, who said G2 is likely to come through, and she quoted all these examples of what is happening around India. So that is my next point. What is happening around India, and that is being given as one of the factors. You take Myanmar, you take Bangladesh, you take Nepal, you take Pakistan. Everywhere it seems that China is keeping quiet. The US is getting in. Take Pakistan. Pasni port has now been given to US. In addition to Karachi, where in Karachi it is a Chinese port. I mean, the Chinese have developed a base in Karachi, not in Gwadar. Gwadar mein there is nothing actually to make it a military base. It can't be, because there are no facilities. Military base requires a lot of other facilities, especially for the naval people, workshops and whole lot of things have to be prepared. Then only you can fight a war from there. So Chinese have made a base in Karachi. The Americans are being given a port in Pasni, which they want to develop into a base. So they are saying these are the examples where G2 is likely to be a reality. Then they quoted Bagram. In Bagram, what is happening? US wants to create a base. Pakistan is supporting the base. But at the same time, what happened? The partners met in Russia very recently. 6 countries, including Afghanistan, including India. And what do they say? We will not like anyone to interfere into the sovereign territory of a particular country. So base in Bagram is absolute no, which included China, Russia, India, Afghanistan, and there was one more country I'm forgetting. So these are developments which are quite contradictory to each other. To me, they look like tactical adjustments again, or even around India. There seem to be tactical adjustments. Some places, people are just trying to fit the bill that okay, Nepal was not an instant reaction. It was a engineered. It may be an engineered revolution, but the initial part would have been indigenous, and thereafter people have taken advantage of it. Their wings are there, deep state wings are there. Deep state not only of Pakistan, but deep state of the other countries are also there, embedded in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, and a whole lot of these countries which are around us. It seems like the country which is in the most danger is India. If you start looking at it from North Korea, China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, we are surrounded by very, very unfriendly forces. To me, somebody said, that that's why the G2 thing is a reality. I said, to me, it looks like an accidental convergence. They didn't agree to me. There seems to be an accidental convergence of the interests of the two big powers, China and Russia, China and US. But Russia cannot be ignored. Russia is a 2 trillion economy, I think 2.5 or 3 trillion economy, holding the entire Europe to ransom. Why? Because it's a military power to reckon with. It has 6,000 nuclear arsenals. Do you think it will allow China to just overrun it and say, okay, we are going to have a G2? Thank you, Russia. Bye bye. We are now going to be the co-partners of the world. So there are so many contradictions around us. I think this is a period of churn which is going on, and people are trying to make sense out of it. And that is why probably they're saying G2, they're saying multilateral. I'm telling you, China is stepping in wherever US is being found weak. Global governance. Why has China stepped in? Because it found there is a message coming out from America that cut the bloat of overseas. What does that mean? Cut the overseas bloat. It was a statement made very clearly to 800 generals. Cutting the bloat would mean removing or reducing your deployments in West Asia, reducing your deployments in Indo-Pacific, reducing your deployments in the other parts of the world where the bases are there. So therefore, if you reduce, who will step in? It will be China. And China is not going to step in to add on to the security of the Indo-Pacific. The ground position of China in the Indo-Pacific, or along our land borders, is totally different from what the world opinion or world rules are. International rules are. We are following the international rules of the seas. It says no. That is why it has got the entire South China Sea as part of China. Why is it occupying all these islands? So I think there is going to be competition, maybe a very, very below the surface competition, which will continue. There would be tactical level adjustments to ensure that the weaknesses of both America and China are taken care of by selective cooperation. That seems to be, to me, the major way ahead as far as the prognosis of the current situation is concerned. And as and when the multilateral people get some kind of a heft or power, then things might become much more clearer. It's a wait and watch kind of a situation. So those are my initial remarks. India is in a dangerous situation. I'm being very frank about it. India is in a dangerous position because everybody else has friends. Whom do we have friends? So the answer to this is that India has never had friends. So India has always fought its own battles. But is the battle going to be the same as what it was in 71 or what it was in 99 or what it was? Why did we stop at Op Sindoor? Let me tell you, Op Sindoor, cessation of firing took place at 3:30 as per the US president's declaration. He declared at 3:30 that the two countries have gone into ceasefire. Secretary Hexeth also went for the same thing. whereas India announced it at 5:30. I was in a TV studio when all this was happening, and we were trying to articulate our statements as to what we will say. What is going to be the India's position. Finally, at 5:30, Misri came, and then he announced that we stopped our ceasefire based on the request of Pakistan. In the evening, what happened? In the evening, there were ceasefire violations by the other side. It's nothing new. 71 war ceasefire was declared at XYZ time. But what were the armies doing? They were trying to gain as much advantage from the situation before finally the ceasefire could be stabilized. There is a thing called stabilizing the situation. Between this period, both try to take advantage to grab as much as possible, so that when you are negotiating at that point in time, if we are losing somewhere critically, we can exchange those territories. I think we missed an opportunity there. We missed an opportunity in that ceasefire window. We should have sorted out certain more things in that ceasefire when they, because they gave you a chance. They did a ceasefire violation. We should have done something, and I'm not going to tell you where we should have done it. There were people waiting. In fact, the force which was waiting actually led to the ceasefire. And that would have been wonderful. Thereafter, just declare, no, 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 no. I think messages had not gone to all the forces, etc., on the ground, and so therefore this is not part of the planned operation. There are a number of ways to actually deal with any kind of. After all, the control doesn't go immediately. If you pass an order, stop. It doesn't reach the last man, Bhoop Singh, or it doesn't reach the a ship commander immediately. Even if it is an era of highly digitized and real-time communications, there are delays, there are technical faults, etc., etc. So many things. So I'll stop here just to say that I think these are the issues which we need to ponder before we go in actually and say that there may be a G2 kind of a formulation coming up. I may be a little different from what the perception is, but that's how what I gathered today from the discussions, and so I thought let me share it with you.
Well, it also shows that you have many gears to you that you can switch on to a higher gear if needed. So thank you so much, General Dushyant. General Ravishankar.
I tried to make up for our all-rounder today. For our all-rounder today.
Sir, just a real quick question, maybe 2-3 minutes for each of you to answer. Same common question. If you go back and take a look at what has happened since May 10th till today, everything that has happened has been a response of sort, either by China or by United States or Pakistan, because they are seemingly papering over things that they felt are vulnerable, which again emphasizes what General Dushyant said, that you had the mocha, you did not hit a chauka. Over to you, sir.
Well, I won't put it that it was so cut and dry. Okay, there will be other considerations. We also have to understand, at the time when Op Sindoor was taking place, there are two other conflicts raging: Israel-Iran and Ukraine. So, and the smart thing which we did was war termination. So I won't put it that, we might have missed an opportunity. The person whoever, the people who took a decision would have had all these inputs in the thing. I go with what General Dushyant said. We might have missed a few opportunities. I mean, that's fine. But overall, well, we've done what we've done. Now you have to play that game. And the larger game which is changing is not only because of this. Op Sindoor is one part of the story. It's also Russia-Ukraine. It's also Iran-Israel. It's also what China is doing. It's also what internal factors of USA. It's also what internal factors of China. Like I told you in the beginning, both internal factors in USA and China are not bright. I mean, whatever this G2 we are talking of is going to be a bad G2. I think General Dushyant used a nice word, very nice word to say accidental convergence. right? That's a very diplomatic way of putting it. It will be the accommodation of rogues with each other. कि भाई ये हम चोर चोर वो क्या भाई बोलते हैं ना, हिंदी में बोलते हैं चोर चोर बतेरे भाई और
चोर चोर मौसेरे भाई.
हाँ मौसेरे भाई, correct. वो कहानी है ये. Okay, so this and the irregularities in this are huge, but that's what makes this G2 dangerous. Please understand, this is not the G2 which we thought of in 2008. This is a completely new accommodation with each other for their mutual benefit at the cost of everyone else. Okay, there are issues concerned with rare earths. USA might pull out a Plaza Accords, all of a sudden devalue its thing and push the whole global economy into a tailspin. So there are a lot of things in this whole story which are not. There are more, pins which have to yet be put in place or come out. And what will be the derivative? Derivative will head into a bipolar world. That's what the derivative of all this is, a bipolar world. Slowly we are heading there. Right? So we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm sorry I took a little more time. Back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. General Dushan, Mauke pe chauka, you hinted as much. What also I am surprised, you mentioned this, and I want to pick you up on that also. So first is the Mauke pe chauka. Second thing is, see, as far as my memory goes, if India needs to buy something from China, it actually needs to pay in dollars, and that goes into a Hong Kong bank. And from there, there's a chute that goes into China. It gets done, and then it gets shipped ex Hong Kong, and you get it back, and then you through the custom. Where did India get the yuan, sir?
What happened is, I think this dollar is something currency. If India uses, will come under the scanner. The yuan to yuan will not come under the scanner. That could be one of the reasons why this particular route, and I believe it is true also. I believe it is true. This is coming in the news in a big way. It's a big, somebody said, a big scoop is what people are trying to say. They were trying to find some way out to get over this 50% tariff on the Russian oil. And possibly this could be one of the क्या बोलते हैं routes or one of the route to reach this particular objective. After all, India, like China was 10 years back, is energy hungry now. India is also, getting into that manufacturing mode. India is putting its prefab. So many other things are happening. I think India needs energy now. And so we have to do whatever we have to do. We have to get it. Either you change your policy of strategic autonomy. I mean, that is another discussion which took place. That, should we really push for strategic autonomy? Is it a good approach? Or just firmly go with one camp and continue? So if we have to follow our policy of strategic autonomy, we have to find very delicate routes. I mean, it's good to say chor chor mausere bhai, but there is a chuha in between which has to go and eat its cheese.
Hey, but,
Right?
I'll tell you where the UN has come from. The route is very simple. The deal between Saudi Arabia and China is on UN basis.
Yeah.
Payment is in
Sir,
UN.
that is one qualification, sir. It's a digital yuan convertible fully into gold. A little bit of more clarification there. It is not yuan.
You not heard me.
No, but I believe this is yuan.
It's yuan. Okay. At the end of the day, the settlement is in yuan. So for Saudi Arabia is investing into India. You don't need to take dollars. Take yuan. And take yuan and give it to Russia. So the routing is very clear. Let's be very clear, this thing. And it's a foreign currency. It's a tradable currency. It's a basket of currencies that you hold.
Correct.
Right. So if you have to get hold of a little more of one particular currency to settle one settlement, you can do it. This is an international market. But it will give shock. This will give a shock to USA. Suddenly USA will say, "Yeah, ye kya ho raha hai?" And does it stop you from being strategic autonomy? It gives you better, right? If you think that China is going to be very happy, use the dollar. You use both. Who's stopping you? Okay, and today you signed a agreement with UK. So start using pound, start using EU, do what you want. Look, you have to be nimble-footed in this world.
Absolutely. And this is a Reuters report.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am
Acco-
completely with
acco-
you.
uh, According to Reuters, several traders supplying Russian oil have asked Indian state refineries to settle invoices in yuan, and Indian Oil Corp has already completed 2 to 3 such transactions.
But,
So
but,
the
but
roots are being found how to
yeah,
how to get over
and
this problem.
and let me also give some more good news to people. You know this little stupid country called Pakistan. You know what's happened to it now? They've fudged all their imports for the past 2 years. $11 billion is the discrepancy, which IMF has caught. And they said, "Tum kar kya raho?" They've under invoiced all their imports. And they have been giving a rosy picture to everyone. Suddenly Trump will have a big omelette on his face. And this Pakistan from today being, current account surplus, which they're saying my economy is stable, it's never been unstable. It's going to go down by tomorrow, day after. This whole story will come out. It's already there. I mean, I'm not saying something. I'm not saying something which is breaking news. It's been lying unseen for the past 48 hours. IMF observations. It's just that today I was listening, of all people, I was listening to a Pakistani channel. He said this Kahani. मैंने कहा यार ये क्या हो गया? Which means the IMF tranche which is yet to come has already been spent.
But but to be frank, and to also progress some argument in favor of G2, let me also explain another theory. I would say, I won't say it's a theory, but it's a possibility and probability. See, the Pakistanis have entered into a rare earth deal in Baluchistan
Yeah.
with the US. So people are saying, what is there in it for China? Why is China keeping mum, which has actually invested so much in Gwadar port, and it has been mining for over I don't know how many years now, copper, gold, etc., etc. I believe the rare earths are there in Pakistan. It will be extracted by the Americans, but where do they where are the
Refine.
factories?
Processor?
Where are the
China.
processes? It's in
China.
China. So it's all
No,
three of them happy. No, I'm
but
just
I
saying
think
that this is also one of those things, which are.
no, there's a lot of mis information about what's there in Pakistan. Pakistan doesn't have rare earths. They've got
Yeah,
critical
I mean,
minerals, and that's antimony. Antimony,
yeah.
Chinese have the capability to extract antimony. I mean, that we'll leave that out. That's a story we'll have to do separately once, right?
Yeah. So
That's
the
that's an interesting story.
point is again, I'm saying that these are all tactical moves which are
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
taken.
I agree with you
One
completely.
one
That
thing
does not
one
cover.
thing one thing on the Sri Ayer's question about post Sindoor, that there has always been a response which is being given. Uh, there is another thing which has been, if you notice very very clearly, that nobody has asked the important question to Pakistan as to how many aircrafts have you lost. Everybody is asking India to tell that how many aircrafts we have lost. Nobody asked them to say
They
as to
know,
how
yeah.
many aircrafts have you lost.
No, no, no. They
So,
know.
so,
Today,
so what I'm
let me put it. Okay. No,
what
no,
I'm
no.
trying to tell is, sir, that
No,
this narrative has, this is a shortage in our narrative. We
yeah,
should
I
have
agree with you.
gone around.
Their
We should have
narrative.
gone around pricking those guys up, and taking them. भाई उससे सवाल
नहीं
पूछो ना, उसने कितने हारे हैं एयरक्राफ्ट, और
नहीं
कितने
देख
एयरक्राफ्ट उसको गिरे हैं.
दुष्यंत बात यह है ना उसका भी समय आएगा क्यों टुडे वन ब्रिटिश चैप हैज सेड कि you till India hit 11 of their bases, Pakistan was sitting pretty.
Yes.
He said this today. When after Kayat Starmer came, signed that deal, immediately the British Tota has started talking against Pakistan. He's already started saying that Pakistan came to hill only after they were hit with 11 bases were hit. And suddenly Pakistan's calculation, their comfort zone, everything shifted. He's the बोल दिया आज Facebook में. In fact, I saw it just half an hour before I came to this. I said, ये तो, so as more people come towards India, you'll see the narrative automatically changing. So that
I think
story
the UK deal is an excellent move by
yeah,
us. It will prompt many others to join the
no,
bandwagon.
I mean, right. I mean, I have a couple of slides. I would like you to show that, which puts where India, what is, this is the way of G2. The cartoon explains what G2 is all about. Each trying to kill the other. Okay. It's more accommodation towards Z. It's, and USA is pressurizing India and holding back on China. We know that. More accommodating towards Z. The thing is, there's uncertainty in India. How will this go? Will this go to G2 or G0 or bipolar? We don't know.
Right.
But always, in all conditions, we will be in a cleft between the two. We don't know which way to think. That's why I said last, a US detent, even if temporary, would not only change the balance of leverage between India and China and negotiations, but will also complicate India's strategic environment. See, this G2 thing, why I was insistent on it might happen, not happen, all that is hypothesis. But this is the worst case scenario for us.
Yes.
What General Doshyant was saying, it will be very bad for us. Do we have the capability? Do we start thinking of reacting to that? Because if you can react to this and handle this G2 situation, you can handle everything else. Okay, but I'll get something else, which I want to put in picture. This is from, the Lowy Institute, Australia, which says this is about analysis about 5-6 months back, which says, could India be the third wheel in the G2 world? Okay, these discussions are taking place. It's not as if, right. Then this came out a year and a half back in South China Morning Post. Now, as per this, India is the fourth pole. The picture, listen, I keep using this picture everywhere to showcase India's might. And this article in Guancha, the original is in Mandarin. I've reproduced it in English. In fact, yesterday evening I spoke about it. That's by a Chinese called Cheng Feng. He says India is the fifth pole. Okay, and today if you go into the Mandarin websites and then I just started tracking which are the countries which are active with India to get a FTA, or we are with the FTA or a trade agreement. I mean, it's too small, but let me read it out. Start from Japan, Brazil, Russia, EU as a whole, EU as a whole, EU as a part, EU as an individual entity, Italy, Germany, France, Ukraine. Ukraine himself wants a deal with you. Okay. Finland, Canada, Brazil, Philippines, Singapore, UK. UK signed today. Australia we are already in a FTA with them. They want an expansion of that FTA extension. Today, our defense minister is sitting in Australia and signing contracts, signing MOUs. UAE, Saudi Arabia, both of them want to invest into India. Nowhere else can they invest. They don't want to invest anywhere else. Israel. If I can add, I'm sure you give a chance to Iran, they'll jump into this whole story. Yeah, you will not have Turkey, Purki, and all these fellows. I've not put Argentina in this. I've not put Kenya into this. I've not put Namibia into this. All these people want. What about the third world? I've not put the third world at all, or the global south. So I think we have some intrinsic. We can take it off. Thanks a lot for this. Yeah, we have an intrinsic depth which at times we are not able to recognize in ourselves.
Yeah. Yes. But
Okay.
but the only thing which I would like to add here, sir, that a long stick. If you talk with a long stick, people hear you. I think that long stick has to be worked upon as far as India
Yeah,
is concerned.
no, I agree with you. Let me just come to that. Let me, the problem with us is our strategic communication is weak. We
Yeah.
talk the wrong things at the wrong time. And we've been doing it. We've been doing it before Op Sindoor. We were doing it after Op Sindoor. We are doing it in the recent past also. We are not surgical in the way we go about doing. Today, in today's world, strategic communication is a very important aspect which we need to handle. Then we have to be assertive over our neighborhood and the IOR. How is that assertion going to come? You have to look at Nepal. You have to look at Bhutan. We are doing. I mean, I'm not saying we're not doing anything. We had to be a little more assertive with Bangladesh. Myanmar is a thing where you have the best opportunity. Not yesterday, yeah, a day before yesterday, I was doing a video with someone else on Myanmar and rare earths and all. They want you to come in and take it. Yeah. They don't want to get stuck with China. And incidentally, Chinese global position in rare earths, especially in dysprosium and terbium, comes from where? It comes from Myanmar. 40% of China's rare earth originates from Myanmar. And they're saying, you please come and take it. Of course, there are certain issues in it. It's not so simple, right? It is as complicated as Pakistan saying that it has rare earths, right? Rare earths are not rare. For those of you who don't know, rare earths are
Yes.
not. Rare earths are available all over. If you go to your
Correct.
own house, behind you'll get rare earth. But the
Yes.
problem with rare earth is it's not mineable. It's not in adequate concentrated form available. So
Extraction.
extraction is there. Even in coal plants, which smoke which goes up has got rare earths, incidentally. And one of the today in technology is to recover rare earths from the coal-fired plants. So people talk loosely about rare earths. It's critical minerals which are more important than rare earths. Yeah. Then of course you have one elephant on your back, and that's something which you have to be very careful of, and that's our border with China. Right? That's not negotiable. I mean, for all of us. And I don't think politically, no government in India, or for that matter, no government in China can come to a political accommodation on that. If the political accommodation is not there, there's no question of any trade. China will be thinking 100 times before getting into trade with you. Right? As much as it is a necessity for us to get some technology, some trade with China, even for China, it's a necessity to get into our markets, but the inhibitors are huge. People say, look, China will put pressure on us. I don't think so. I don't think it can. If you could ban half their apps, and stop their investments and all that, in 2020, when we ourselves felt that we were weak compared to China, today that gap is closed. Your military gap has closed. And I'm not saying this, the Chinese say this. So we need to look at all this thing in a different perspective. If so many countries are heading towards India, and again, you look at the commentary in those countries, they say, why are you not going to the fastest growing economy? See, there's something which I've been talking, I would like to highlight. Our country is growing at 7.6, 7.8, 7.3, 7.4, 7.0, that kind. So we are worried if it goes at 7. But look at a guy who's growing at 1.2, 1.3, 3.1, 3.2. For him, that 1.1 is significant for his economy to be in recession or going up or down, inflation. For us, it doesn't matter. It's a rounding error. ठीक है यार. 7 नहीं है तो ठीक है. 7.8 is also good. We have that leeway. And I keep saying, economies is about momentum. It is about velocity. It is not about mass. And that's the confidence we have to get. right? I hope. I mean, I might have spoken a little too much, but these are my convictions, and I think we need to put our own things in place. Yeah, back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. General Dushyant, final thoughts, and then we can go to question and answers. We have a lot of questions to go through. You're muted, sir. You're muted, sir.
I think by and large we have covered the issue. My only say is that okay, nothing is off the table. No possibility, nil possibility. In probability terms, there is a probability of G2 also coming through. But what thereafter? What kind of a G2 will emerge? That is more important. I think we leave it at that. And India has to make its own table. That is the second big issue which we have to create. And to create your own table, we need to do certain things in a manner where people gravitate to you based on your strengths. And for your strengths to increase, you got to have a big lathi, right? Currently, our lathi is small and we talk big. So we have to make the lathi also. Hanji sir. So we have to. Uski lathi, uski bhais. So we need to. Absolutely, we need to seriously work upon our military heft, because unless you have the military heft, people will not take you seriously. There are videos coming from the US, Friedman, etc. We're talking that India is dispensable. And why are they talking India is dispensable? Because India is not offering that I mean, this was a very serious discussion. Indo-Pacific, India is not pulling its weight in the Indo-Pacific. This is one big impression which is going on there. And here I would blame India's military diplomacy. We have sent a colonel in the CENTCOM. The Pakistanis have a major general there. In the Indo-Pacific, we have, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that there are a number of places where we need to actually up our ante as far as communications, relationships, liaison, etc. These are things which we need to work upon. Pakistan's GHQ and the Western Theatre Commanders GHQs both have a major general equivalent. So their communications are, today we are talking of fusion between China and Pakistan because of this reason. Now we are saying if there is something with China, it will be available in Pakistan. May not be today, but in times of crisis. So military diplomacy was the third issue which I said I think we need to work upon it more seriously. I end there.
Thank you so much. And let's take a few questions now, please. Sajid Kumar, thank you so much. Suppose USA provides complete satellite and ELINT to Pakistan in the next phase of how can we mitigate their missiles from hitting us?
Pakistan missiles won't hit us. Don't worry. See, let me tell you, there's a wrong perception, and the Pakistanis are at it. They said, look, in this we have proved our worth. We have hit 6 Rafales plus. Now every month they're increasing one. Now probably they're 8 or 9 or whatever. Plus our missiles and hit their bases, which India has not spoken of and hidden and things like that. But the fact is that missiles are useless, and the Chinese missiles which they have are fundamentally strategic systems, nuclear warheads. They don't have normal missiles. And there's also a narrative which is coming out from Pakistan. It says, it's now been 7 months, 8 months of Sindoor. Pakistan has made good all their deficiencies. भैया पैसा तो है ही नहीं तेरे पास. चाइना तेरे को कुछ देगा नहीं अभी. यूएसए कुछ दिया नहीं अभी तक. ठीक है, नंगे पंगे हो. कल जब IMF कुछ बोल देगा तो तुम्हारा चड्डी भी उतर जाएगा. How can you make up everything? So why are you worried about Pakistan? You should show a big stick to Pakistan, not by statements. You should show the stick. Just say, show the stick. This is what we have. This is what is going to happen to you next. Yeah.
General Dushyant, would you like to add to that, sir?
No, I think adequately covered. See, electronic warfare is one issue where both sides have the advantage to do it. Not that, and you can't expect 100% support from the US. You see, even in Russia-Ukraine war, if you take the even the Starlink support, they refused it for Starlink support over Crimea. They gave it. They gave the support over the for the defensive purposes, but it was not given for an offensive. So it's not so easy to say everything will be given by US to them. China, I don't say that statement. Chinese may give what they want to give, because China and India have a direct confrontation. So it's in Chinese interest for India to remain staggering. That's
Next question. This is for you, General Dushan. Same Sajid Kumar. Thank you so much. I heard Colonel Rajay Raina say that USA has repaired 80% of Pak C2C radars, Nurkhan base, also their AVACs and F-16s. That was past repair, isn't it? Any worry for us?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a fast repair. The fact that Pakistan, US president had to say that Pakistan has now got its Noor Khan air base operative. I mean, this kind of a statement coming, which means that there has been a huge investment of the US in getting this particular thing on road. In normal case, when the war was going on, it would have been very, very difficult for the US to have, for Pakistan to have used Noor Khan base. So it's not so early. There are still other airfields which are open. If you've heard the air chief's statement, there are still other airfields which have not been repaired. US wanted this particular airfield, so they have repaired it.
Thank you, Sharad Likite, for becoming YouTube member. Thank you, Sanjal, for the super sticker. Vijay Kumar wants to know, this is for you, General Shankar. Do you greats believe China will shake hands with America, Trump a business tycoon, and China Vistarwadi, two opposite poles?
It is like what General Dushan said, accidental convergence of interests. I won't even call it accidental convergence of, it will be willful convergence of interests. Mutual convergence.
Sometimes deliberate also.
Deliberate also. So, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And in doing so, we'll scratch everyone's bottom. And with, so that's the thing which will happen.
Next
it's
one,
not going to be
please.
all over. It's not going to be all over. It is not going to be all over across the board. That I mean, forget that.
General Dushan Singh, this is for you, sir. Akash wants to know, given the present geopoliticals in global geopolitics in general and the regional geopolitics in particular, and the thrashing of enemy in Op Sindoor Phase 1, G2 is a fait accompli. Your views?
I won't base this, this thing on the ground that we were able to hit some critical targets of Pakistan, which led to the US suddenly, putting pressure on India and trying to get. There are many other reasons for this particular change of, I would say, Pakistani pivot to US is more driven by US need for Pakistan for reasons other than Op Sindoor also. Probably those issues were getting affected, and that is why they said they have put a little more pressure on India to ensure that they are able to meet their requirements of Pakistan. They wanted a base in Pakistan, they've got it. Let me tell you, for last 3 years we have been talking that Pakistan, US was sending its undersecretary, sending its ambassador. Remember, the US ambassador went also to Baluchistan. They wanted a base here, and they wanted this base for whom? For its geopolitical interest. So this was one of the ways both sides converged with each other, and then Patni Port has been given to them, and that is being given for a military base. I mean, that's very, very clear. And Pakistan had US had lost any toehold of any serious nature in Pakistan. It had 11 bases once upon a time. From 11, it had come to nil during Imran Khan's tenure. So I think there were many other interests which went into it. Sindoor was a catalyst, triggered that thing.
Yeah, at that point of time, Op Sindoor was going on. That was also the time when Iran-Israel war was at its peak. If you remember that.
Correct.
They needed Pakistan to go into Iran. And then you look at it after that. you look at you look at American interests. The next ambassador to India is also a special envoy to Central Asia and South Asia.
Yes.
And see, the interests are Central Asia. That's why he's talking of Bagram. He wants this place. All these are there. Nurkan, he wants to get back. He's put Nurkan back on track. And also look at it. The fact that they want to get, getting into Pakistan, US getting into Pakistan is not such a bad deal for us. Incidentally, there are two ways of looking at it. Otherwise, we couldn't control China there. Now with China there, with the USA there is some counterbalance to Chinese activities, right? So it will automatically happen. We should look at the good things also there. No, I am getting hold of certain articles in China from China, and China has got very great views about it. By tomorrow day after, I'll have a program on that. I'm trying to get hold of articles.
China is not happy at all. They are not at all happy.
The silence from China officially conveys a lot of things. Pakistan is the next battleground, so we'll see how it goes.
Another interesting thing, IRG here, I would like to share. US declared Baloch Liberation Army as a proscribed terrorist group, but it allowed Afghanistan's foreign minister to come to India, the UNSC. And who is the president in the UNSC? Pakistan as of now. And if it was not the US, which is currently kind of slightly opposed to India, who would have kicked them to allow Afghanistan? Guess. China. So Chinese are not happy. Chinese are also giving their signal to Pakistan, partner, you allow that Pakistani foreign minister to go to India, and the clearance came at the last minute, incidentally. In fact, a day before he reached India, Mutaki. So these are small games which are going on behind. We don't know how dice will roll in the future.
And he's already here. And his being here is bad news for USA, it's bad news for Pakistan, it is bad news for China also.
Next question, please. This is for you, General Dushan. Babji wants to know, we have the 4th highest GDP, but on the road, the nation still looks like a 5th world country. What must be done for the growth to percolate downwards?
Bobji Krishnan, first of all, I would like to correct you that we don't really look like 5th world country. Yeah, we are, our HDI, etc. is not comparable to the best in the world. But to say that we are in the 5th world, I think that would be too much of a harsh statement as far as India is concerned. We are moving towards it. We have the dilemma of better bang for the buck and the butter required. So butter is also required and the bang is also required. We have 4 trillion divided by 140
crores.
Million people. Crores, 140 crore people. We have a long way to go, and I agree with you. Our SDGs need to be strengthened, and that is why the dilemma: how can we have a long stick unless our people are fed? So I agree with you in that count, but not the 5th world. Yeah, I mean, just ensure that we are paint a decent picture about us.
Rome Mind wants to know, so this is for you, General Shankar. Now that Taco links Nobel with mediation here, which is not acceptable, but before that, what was the problem for India to recommend that Para Pona prize to Taco considering other benefits? This is Nobel Peace Prize. Why did India not recommend Trump's name for Nobel Peace Prize?
Look, I've always said this. From my side, we could have recommended him for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it cost us very little. Okay. We could have, at least his ego would have been satisfied, and उसको क्या यार, उसको 2 प्राइज दे दो नोबेल का, एक पीस का दे दो और इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस का दे दो और मेडिसिन का भी दे दो, that he cured COVID or something. हमें क्या लेना देना था? We didn't.
Next
We
one,
missed the
please.
best.
I mean,
Next
I
one,
mean, I
please.
mean,
Yeah.
we could have said, thanks to America to put some sense into Pakistan. We didn't ask for any kind of secession or stop. क्या बोलते- anyway,
Next one, please. This is for you, General Dushyant. Milburn Cherian, were the elders of China working to destroy the CCP?
I don't think so. They're trying to resurrect the CCP from a authoritarian to a more acceptable format, 2 year presidency, I mean 2 year tenure, etc. So I don't think the elders are trying to destroy the CCP. They're trying to reform the ones who are out of the government. I'm just saying that.
Hu Jintao was called the headmaster because much of the bureaucracy that functions within China was all mentored and trained by him. So Xi Jinping can't go very far by taking Hu Jintao on. I'm sure a lot of them felt personally slighted when Hu Jintao was marched out of that meeting. Very sad.
Absolutely.
Interesting thing is they try to hide it. Only Singapore, I think Singapore had a live camera going on. That's what
Yeah,
actually
and
caught it.
that got viral.
Apramaya wants to know, sir, this is for you, Jan Shankar. Sir, Operation Sindoor will be hybrid warfare. How can India thwart the digital warfare targeted at critical digital infrastructure?
अरे यार ऑपरेशन सिंदूर बहुत दूर है. I mean, we are too focused outside. Let's start thinking internally. Let's do the right thing internally. Okay. We don't even know. I mean, the way I look at it, do you need Operation Sindoor too? Do you need it? You don't need it. Right? We just don't need it. We need to strengthen ourselves. And if you is your target Pakistan, फिर तो पावर कैसे बनेगा यार? इन्फ्लुएंस कैसे मिलेगा आपको? अगर if you have to go into Op Sindoor 2, then all those FTAs which you're making with everyone will say, yeah, why should I make FTA with this country? We should be clear what we want in life. I might be disappointing you with my answer, but this has been my consistent position. We should not go to war. War avoidance is the art of the day. And to have a strong military is to avoid war. Militaries are there not to fight war. Militaries are there to avoid war, deter war from happening. We don't need Op Sindoor 2. If the other chap forces Op Sindoor 2 on us, we'll give it to him, don't worry. But that fellow is not capable of doing it. पाकिस्तान को फाड़ के क्या मिलेगा आपको? वो तो wait. Yeah.
Pagatsky, this is for you, General Dushyant. If China and Russia make a deal to overlap their objectives of warm water access and blue water navy, what are the safeguards that India has against such an eventuality?
Well, if you look at the threat to China as far as its maritime capabilities are concerned, no doubt it's the world's largest navy now. But what you have to also see is the qualitative nature of the Chinese navy in key areas. For example, in the aircraft carriers, the US is way ahead of them. Similarly, it's frigates and destroyers, etc. Many of them are of old vintage. They are galloping ahead as far as ship construction goes. There are some calculations, I don't believe it, that every 5 years they are going to add one Indian Navy equivalent into their service. How are they going to sustain this kind of a development? It bogs my mind. But where is the space for it to react? South China Sea, it is scrambling, trying to get a way out. In the East China Sea, it is trying to get out of the first islands. In the Indian Ocean, it has to come through those three, Lunda, Lombok, and Malacca. So why is it now struggling for CMAC, CPEC? These are all its choke points. Let's do a proper analysis. You'll find, and what about the Russians? If you look at the Russians, first of all, it is unlikely that Russia and China will gang up together for Indo-Pacific against India. I mean, I don't think so. Russia will be so naive enough to do this thing directly. But even look at the Russian. The Black Sea is absolutely no go for Russia. There are only, and that is why they're trying to get into that Arctic region and
Arctic
trying to
Circle.
get a northern route through. So situation is not so bad or grim as you are trying to paint. I think we have a lot of leverages here in the Indo-Pacific.
Yeah, can I add?
Yes, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
You look at the Chinese Navy. It keeps going up and down the Chinese coast. Their aircraft carriers have not gone 100 kilometers beyond the sea. If they have gone 100 kilometers beyond the sea, they have taken 100 ships along with them and come back very fast. Their aircraft carriers, one of them is a training carrier out of the three which they have. They don't take it out anymore. The second one runs at half speed. And the third one has a half capability in terms of sortie rate. You just hear what Rajiv Narayanan talks. In fact, today he's spoken about it in a podcast in Republic TV. And I agree. He spoke with us also once, the same story.
Absolutely.
Right? And they don't have that capability. Operating an aircraft carrier, you ask a captain of an aircraft carrier, one of the captains of our Vikrant, he did NDC with us. Okay. He says, sir, it takes about 15 to 20 years to understand how to operate a carrier for a system. We have got this after 70 years. We are now able to operate two carriers. अबे इनका तो एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर 5 साल भी नहीं हुआ, ये नाव लेके चप्पू मार के कहां तक जाएंगे? So don't give too many capabilities to Chinese Navy. They don't have a base.
They got only one base. That's all.
बस वही की बेस है इनके पास.
Djibouti,
बस
Karachi.
Djibouti and Karachi, both Djibouti and Karachi. With Djibouti and Karachi, you can't control Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean is controlled by three passes: Hormuz, Bab al Mandeb, and Malacca. He has to get out of Malacca. Malacca to Djibouti is 5,000 kilometers. तेल निकल जाएगा, जीप निकल जाएगा बाहर. Yeah.
Next one, please. Mahesh Avalaki, thank you for becoming YouTube member. Ashish Hagde, Trump bankruptcy 91, 92, 04, 09 seems to suggest he's not a wise man. God save America. India, UK bilateral trade to hit 112 billion by 2030. Will Trump weaken America by the end of his term? It's all over the place. General Dushyant, I'll let you take it.
I think this has been told by everyone. Let's wait and watch. Don't make such sweeping statements. Trump is going to be there only for 3 years. The things might just change. The situation. But if you go by mathematical calculations, yes, possibilities are there.
See,
and that is what we are also saying. That's what we are also saying. We are going for independent FTAs with so many other countries. So therefore, impact has to be felt by the US. There's no denial on that. It has to be felt.
In fact, if I may say, Trump's success has been by a series of bankruptcies. So probably his final success bankrupt America.
US itself.
US itself.
No, I mean, if you are doing trade in yuan, who is the sufferer?
USA.
It is US. Yeah. Houston, we have a problem.
it will be only a very small speck in the 36 trillion GDP or 32 trillion, 33 trillion GDP. But it will boond se ghada bharta hai. There's the old saying. Boond se ghada
boond se banta hai sagar, right?
Yeah. Something ghada bhi bharta hai, banta hai sagar bhi. So सागर बन जाएगा, टाइम लगेगा.
Next one, please. Thank you, Will Seymour the third. there is a plan for humanity, and nothing can possibly stop the working out of the plan. I think, I don't know what he's trying to say. There's no question there. Let's move on. Raghuram Pillari Setti wants to know, this is for you, General Shankar. What kind of strange G2 will it be? Incumbent heavily dependent on the challenger for goods, the challenger's weaponry till date based on stolen copycat tech of the incumbent?
You said it. You said it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of a thing. It'll be a strange. I told you, no. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, and both of us will get together and scratch everyone else's backside. That's the kind of a G2 it will be. Unstable, opportunistic, and we should not expect any quarter from both these fellows. See, the thing is, don't expect anything from them. Expect the worst from them. Even if they are not in a G2, assume they are in a G2 and progress ahead. That's what it is.
Yeah. Don't forget that Kissinger statement.
Yeah.
So they will either stab each other while shaking with hugging each other. You know what, the cartoon which you just showed, I think that will come to reality.
Fruition. Thank you so much, Rohit. We are not feeling strong and posturing like a strong nation because of internal politics and opposition trying to weaken us internally. Need to address that. Sir, this is to you, General Dushan.
Well, sir, that's a reality. They say that the strongest weakness of a country is within your country. So unless we set our own house in order, we really can't. That is what Jan Shankar also said. Let's look at internally. Yeah. एक्सटर्नल तो हम कर लेंगे. एक्सटर्नल के लिए इंडियन आर्म्ड फोर्सेस आर गुड इनफ. वी फाइट विथ also जुगाड़. We fight with the best of the weapons, so we have that capability, asymmetric or not asymmetric. I think internal strength needs to be built up, and it is in all directions: social, political, and economic.
Next one, please.
And
Rohit Ara. And
cultural also.
Thank you, sir. Rohit, thank you so much. Respected panel, could you please cover about India's internal issues such as corruption, reservation, anti-national elements, etc., that we need to get rid of?
Yeah, you're watching the wrong channel. Yeah, I must
say that's what. That's what.
We are guys who want to look at the positive side of life, and there are enough people who talk about this, and we wouldn't like to talk about it. I mean, it's a very serious question. But we wouldn't like to talk about it. We'd like to do something about it.
Yeah.
And we do that to the best of our capability.
Partha Lalit, thank you so much. This is for you, General Dushan. Following your content for a long time, I want to learn such depth. Is it possible to connect with you personally? Wishing you success. They are all over. Going to so many conferences. You can go and listen to them. They'll have a 5-minute talk here and there. Yeah.
And I keep meeting these guys. Once I met a chap in the airport.
Yeah.
That was really surprising. That fellow was walking down and just caught my bag and he said, "Sir, are you General Dushan?" I said, "Yes." So I keep watching, gunner shot and all
that. Parth Sani. In fact, some of my best conversations are when I'm waiting for the bags at the baggage claim on airport, because everybody's there. You don't have really much to do. You're just keeping an eye on the bag coming, and there is some time you can talk to people. Always fun. I love meeting people. That's how you learn a lot of things in life. Parth Sani, thank you so much. Dushan sir, love the Op Sindoor before and beyond. Concise and crisp read. I think he's talking about your book, sir. Hope to see more.
Absolutely.
Great show, Shankar. Sir, can you tell us where it's available so that people can buy it from there?
Yeah, it's available on the Amazon also, and you can also directly email to us at director.claus@gmail.com.
Director.claus@gmail.com.
I must tell everyone something about Op Sindoor. This book. General Dushan made me write the toughest chapter in that. Which most amorphous thing. I had to scratch all parts of my body to write something for that. It really took me a lot of effort.
So we're bringing up the book picture here. We're bringing a book picture here. Here you go.
Otherwise, it's in Amazon also. But with Claus, you'll get it cheaper, slightly. This is the paperback.
Yes.
Hardback is a little costly, so we are not putting up for sale.
Well, what a session it was. And I'm sure many of you have seen some new facets of evolving geopolitics. Never a dull moment. We have accidentally, that is P Gurus, stumbled into geopolitics. This is one of our fortes where we have experts come in and weigh from different angles what's going on. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Looking forward to our next session next Thursday, same time, same place. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.